Today's message from Reverend Christian Sorensen was recorded May 29th, 2016, and it's titled, It's All About Awareness. Subtitled, Gratitude is a Confidence in Life. Look for the good and praise it. Lift it up. And as one's gratitude grows, joy rises. Come visit us sometime at www.seasidecenter.org or join us in Encinitas, California sometime, where great music and a spirited message, a joyful, loving community always await you.
Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home, 'cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here.
I know where the sun is shining, right here in our sanctuary here today, thanks to these wonderful three. Oh my goodness. Janice and Leslie and Nathan, fabulous. Oh my body's just, I think that's one of those magical seaside musical moments that we just got to witness. Those girls just finding new girlfriends. Woo, 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 woo. All right, here we go. Let's see. It's all about awareness. That's so true. And so I bring my awareness to this weekend, the Memorial Day weekend, where, yes, it is like the official start to the summer. And but really, it's about just honoring those that gave it all for us. You know, whether you approve of, what these individuals did, these are individuals that, you know what, count me in 100%. I am willing to give my life, and today is about celebrating those that gave their life so we can enjoy our freedom, so we can begin to create our dreams. And so I feel, as I bring a greater awareness to this, is that it becomes my responsibility to, to make that happen for my life, in my world, and that's what I can do to participate and to honor that wonderful legacy. There's a wonderful story about a Hasidic rabbi who had some students, and he asked his students, do you know when the night is done and the morning begins? And Rabbi, one student said, it's when you can see those animals on the hill and you can tell the difference between when one's a sheep and one's a dog. And he said, no, that's not it. Another said, well, I know, it's when you can see the creases in your palms. He said, no, that's not it. Another said, I know, when you can see the tree over yonder and realize and recognize whether it's a palm tree or a fig tree or a pear tree. He said, no, that's not it. And the student said, well, Rabbi, tell us, how do you know when the night is over and the day has begun? He said that when you can look into the face of every man and woman and see your brother and your sister, then you know the night is over. When you can begin to look into the face of another human being and see them as your brother and sister, see them as a living expression of the divine. When you're prejudiced and your sense of differences and your sense of bigotry or whatever it is that is denying your ability, that is when the war will be over. That is when the night will be over. That is when there will be peace upon this earth. That is when we can walk in the light of day. Until then, when you cannot see your brother or your sister, that other human being, as someone that is part of you and your lineage and your family on this planet, it's still going to be dark. And so as these individuals have given their lives in war to bring peace on earth, it becomes my responsibility to live in that peace and to do my best to help bring that light to this world. Because you know what? It really comes down to you and me, and that's where we have to do it and be able to share that, to bring a greater awareness to the situation, to bring a higher view to what is going on in our life, to be able to see that spirit showing up in all people, no matter what the history has been, no matter what the religion has been, no matter what may have happened. I have got to be that place of transformation. I got to bring a greater awareness to that. And a wonderful group that teaches this, and I bring this story to you from the psychologists in Harvard who did a study with some of the Tibetan Buddhist refugees. And in working with them and talking with them, and they have a lot of reason to be angry, exile, ran out of their home, their families killed. There was an amazing sense of a joy for life. And one of their deep spiritual practices is loving kindness and compassion. And here they are, exiled, and there seems to be a sense of joy, even if they had been imprisoned and tortured. The nuns and the monks that had been imprisoned, there was one particular senior monk who had been imprisoned and tortured for more than 20 years. And he said that his greatest fear while in prison is that he would lose his ability to have compassion for his jailer. It's like, really? That's pretty big. But that was his greatest fear while being in jail for 20 years, that he would lose compassion for another individual, that the darkness would come, that the night would return, that all of a sudden he would not see that human being who is inflicting pain upon him as a living expression of the divine presence. What happens in our life is that we get stirred and we take it in, and all of a sudden we become miserable because we take it into ourselves. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, when he first started traveling over here, he was sitting with a group of Buddhist monks, and they asked him if he knew what their greatest problem or issue was, or he asked them what their greatest issues were. And he said, and they said to him, self-loathing. He went, what? Self-loathing? What's that? Like we don't value ourselves. There's not a sense of self-worth. And it's like, what's that? It was not even part of a culture that you could actually not like yourself. That was like not even part of the concept of one thinking that I'm not good enough. Where did that come from? What we've got to bring is a greater awareness to it. What we've got to bring is a greater understanding and realize that you are a divine expression worthy of the love, worthy of the compassion, worthy of the kindness, no matter what you may have done heretofore. Here forward, let me see myself as an expression of God worthy of that love. And I don't need to do battle against what's not working in my life and in my world. Because what happens when I go to war against another nation or against the weeds at my house, I'm at war. And I share that because I've got dandelions showing up in my yard like I've never had before. And they're kind of pretty. But, last year I cut them down, and this year there's a lot more, and every week my gardener cuts them down, and a lot more are back a few days later. And I came across a story of a gentleman who loved his lawn so much. It's what he took care of it. It was his pride. It was his joy. And the dandelions every year got worse and worse to the one year they took over. And he had tried everything, the poisons or the Roundup or the natural, and nothing was working. And so he decided to write to the agricultural center. And he said, and he enumerated, the many different methods he tried. He tried everything he could think of. And he asked and he requested if they could make any suggestions. And, they eventually wrote back. And they said, yes, we would like to suggest that you learn to love them. Which is now what I'm doing with my dandelions, because they're very pretty on my lawn. I got yellow. But can I learn to love what is going on and stirring me up? Can I begin to be grateful for what is going on in my life? Because I'll tell you the thing about gratitude is that it will lift you to a higher place. My love will lift me up. What a great song. That gratitude just lifts you to the mountaintop so you can have a greater view and see how things play. And the thing with gratitude is it is a confidence in life. There you go. I've never used that description before. Gratitude is a confidence in life. It is grateful whether it is misty out or whether it's a blue sky. That sense of gratitude is a love that will lift you and bring the sun out within a sanctuary. The gratitude doesn't sit there with envy or comparison. It embraces what is. You look for the good and you praise it. You praise it, you raise it up. It's how this thing works. And as one's gratitude grows, joy rises in our life. Joy is the natural outpicturing of living a life of gratitude. And so when you're getting heavy in your world, it's not quite as fun as it used to be. Deal with it quickly. Don't let it run its course, because it starts to show up in your body. And I watch people get depleted before they start working on healing themselves. Heads up, guys, it's a lot better to heal yourself before you're depleted Find out what brings you joy. Find out what brings balance in your world. Get some exercise in your physical body and begin to replenish and renew yourself before you are drained and depleted and wiped out. It works a lot easier that way. And I'll assure you, God didn't create any do-overs. It's like He didn't create you so He has to do you over. You were done good when He started. Yeah. There are no do-overs. You were created perfect when you were put forth into this world. So what you've got to do, if life doesn't seem good or perfect, you've got to bring a greater awareness to the situation, because the situation is calling for your attention. Our good friend, Dr. Michael Beckwith, likes to say, they like the headlines that are in the paper. Those are our nation's prayer requests for us. It's like, here is a place that could use our prayers. It could use a greater awareness or a greater consciousness. Rather than rebelling, what I can do is begin to cast a vision of a greater possibility. James Allen, he's the guy who wrote As a Man Thinketh, which got redone to As a Woman Thinketh. And he says, a man becomes a man, or a woman becomes a woman when they cease whining and revile and commence on finding the hidden justice in their world. Okay? When you stop complaining and say, look what the world's doing to me. This is like bad stuff. It's just poor me. No wonder I feel less than wonderful. When you stop complaining and whining and recognize that there's a hidden justice here, there is, things don't just happen to me. They happen justly. They happen as a result of my consciousness. They happen as a result of a feedback for me to see like the snapshot of what's going on inside of me. And I want to bring a greater awareness to what's going on rather than getting caught up in blame or a victim or I'm stuck. Things don't just happen to you. Even though, something bad may happen, it's not. I read the book, when bad things happen to good people. I just don't believe they just happen to you. I don't agree with that. What I do believe is if you're not working on your consciousness and bringing a greater sense of awareness, you can be open and receptive to what accident or challenge may be lurking out there. But I'll tell you what, no one or no thing can get in your consciousness if you're doing your spiritual work, because there has not been permission granted, and you cannot be drawn into that vibration if that's not your frequency. And so as you continue to do your work and move to a higher place and you have a greater awareness, this mountaintop view, all of a sudden you begin to attract and to see the direction in which you're going, you're calling, and you're stepping into it. But if you're whining and you're not taking that higher view, then what happens is you pull that in. And I'll tell you, there's people out there that have got their stories. They love their stories. They love what it is they hate. Let me put it that way. They love what it is they hate. And so what happens is life loves you so much that you get to continue to have what it is you hate. That which you don't like loves you so much that it wants to provide for you. You're using this law in reverse. You get that? If you're telling this story, if you're dramatizing it, if you're milking it for everything you can get, so people go, oh, poor you. Bad things do happen to good people. That which you love to hate loves you so much that it provides more for you to hate. That's just the way it works. That's the way the law works in reverse. We hear about the power of positive thinking. We hear so little about the power of negative thinking, but it works the same way. That is the power that will show up in our life. And so you got to decide, I'm going to bring a greater awareness to this situation. I'm going to figure out what it is I can do. A wonderful man by the A.T. Ariyaratne, and Ari, it's easier to say. But I had a chance to talk with him, be with him a couple times when he came to some of the Association for Global New Thought conferences. And this guy is considered the Gandhi of Sri Lanka. He's a saint that walks our planet today. He's about so big, and he loves cooking curry food. And you walk into his way, it's like, wow, really? But he is a Gandhi, and Sri Lanka, up until a few years ago, was in the midst of a 25-year civil war. I think they're called Tamil Tigers were against the Sri Lankan folks. And it was just nasty and bad, and hundreds of thousands of people died. But he was a man, an elder, school teacher, who held a consciousness of a third way. That it didn't have to be this way, it didn't have to be this way. And the people came around him, and Sarayadaya movement, which is about compassion and finding the third way, was really like a third of the nation of Sri Lanka, and they were pulling for him. And when they went into a ceasefire a few years ago, he called the people together, and there were literally 1 million people that came out to hear him. And what he shared was a vision. And his vision wasn't for what we can do for the next few years. Here's a guy who built schools and wells, and he was the guy who had the feet on the ground. He was the one who worked with the villages along the coast. Remember with the tsunami that wiped out Thailand and then wiped out Sri Lanka, and we were sending all the funds. Or was the earthquake with the tsunami that wiped them out? When Seaside collected money, we sent it straight to the over there, because here's a guy on the ground, 100% went right into it. He pulled the people together. 1 million people showed up and said, there's this vision here, and it's a 500-year vision. Not 5 years. You got that? 500 years. Not 50 years, but 500 years. He said, the first few years, we got to make sure we can do this ceasefire. After those first, 5 years of ceasefire, what we want to really start doing in the next 10 years is start working with our roads and our schools and taking care of our children and the infrastructure and get the sanitation back and going. And then for the next 25 years, what we want to do is really integrate our culture so we're speaking the same language together. And because for the last 400 years, we had the colonialism that really created disharmony. And then we had, through that same period, we had the wars going on and the disharmony between the Hindus, the Muslims, and the Buddhists, and then the economic disparity. And it took 500 years to mess this up, and they're going to take 500 years. And so for these next 25 years, we're going to work on getting our cultures to integrate. We're going to start getting the monetary systems for the next 25 years really working and syncing and eliminate that disparity. And then every century, the elders of the community are going to come together and to evaluate how this is going. And he planted the seed out there, and people go, yeah! Could you imagine 1 million people getting excited about a 500-year plan that was going to integrate and honor the individuals that are there? His vision, he had a far greater vision, a far greater awareness than a civil strife and war between the people living there. There's something that will work for all of us. And the people go, yes! He didn't have to be there. He doesn't have to be there to see it unfold. There is a vision that was greater than he is. And that is the key in our life. Are we doing a 5-month vision, a 5-year vision? How about a 500-year vision? Is your vision large enough so people can come play in it? Is there a greater awareness in your life that all of a sudden it is bigger than I am? That is exciting, dynamic, that entices me and stirs my soul and gets me to want to come out and play. I mean, it's big talk here, but I'll tell you what about ideas. When you get a divine inspiration, it comes with everything that is needed to bring it to fruition. Yes. When you get stirred and you catch this vision, you're bold enough to plant that seed and say, this is what is happening. Everything that is necessary. So often I watch people try to use their prayers to make things happen. I really have no divine inspiration to it. I'm just trying to survive. Okay, well, go for it. But I'll tell you what, it's... you want to write a book and it's got spiritual worthiness, or you want to write a play, or you want to create a song, or you want to write a business, or you've got this wonderful plan. Does it have the spiritual inspiration? Because if it is coming from that high place, it comes with everything to bring it into fruition, to bring it into form. But you've got to believe enough in it that you're willing to stand before 1 million people and say, you know what, here's a vision here that is a third way, it is a middle way. I'm bringing a higher awareness, a greater awareness to this dynamic of war that is going on. And I'm not going to go tear up my dandelions, or I'm not going to go shoot a bunch of people. What I'm going to do is bring a vision that brings our planet and our people together. So when I look at somebody's face, and it doesn't matter what religion they're part of, I'm going to see them as my brother and sister and love them with all my heart and soul. This is what a higher awareness can do. But we got to recognize that our life isn't controlled from what's going on outside. We give our power away. I'm a victim. Well, you can be a victim. You're welcome to that. But as long as you think bad things can happen to that good person, as long as you think, that accident just was an accident, And you're not looking at it as saying, hey, where's my consciousness here? You're giving your power away. And if all of a sudden you feel you're a victim of your body or the doctor's prognosis or whatever your story may be, and that's, I got to do this to make things better, you're giving your power away to something outside. And when you are bold enough to say, you know what, somehow I'm involved here. I don't get it. It doesn't make sense. I sure didn't think about this in any conscious kind of way. But I know things don't just happen. They happen justly. I'm going to bring a greater awareness and see. And as soon as you begin to take your power back, anything can be healed. Anything. Absolutely. Anything. You got that? Not some things. Anything. I've heard every scenario, medical, in my time, just like dissolve and be gone with someone. Why some and not others? Well, because there is a sense of stepping into alignment and taking my power back and realize I'm not a victim here. You know, there is something that's going on here that is greater than I am. And so when someone shares with me or a practitioner a prayer request, what I've come to recognize is that the moment that request makes my awareness, I say right there, God's there. There's something inside of me that knows instantly. When I hear a prayer request, somebody going through the line on a Sunday say, Christian, would you pray for me? I'll say, yeah, give me your name. I'll stick it in my pocket. I'm going to remember it tonight. But I want you to know right now, I'm knowing the truth. I'm doing my prayer right now. Right now is where the healing is, because I think it's malpractice. Say, I'm going to wait till I get everything quiet tonight and I get all my candles lit. I'm going to sit down in a real good focused place of silence and do my prayer so I can really concentrate. Yeah, and right now when that request comes to me, I want you to know I am knowing for you the wholeness and the perfection of God. And this moment in which I am knowing that the healing is happening. And healing is not gradual. You got that? I get some healing today, I get some more tomorrow, and the next day, ta-da! It doesn't work like that. Healing is instantaneous. You got that? That means it is now. Now, there may be some unfoldment to that healing. Ernest Holmes said that there is no process in healing, there's a process of healing. He says that not even God create a yearling calf overnight. You know, it takes a year to create a yearling calf. You know, you plant a seed in the ground, and all of a sudden, there is a moment that instantly, boom, it germinates or something happens and it becomes alive. Something gets turned on, the shell pops off, sprout goes through the soil, and then it takes years for this tree to happen. But there was an instant in which it became alive. When we do our prayers, I want you to know that, you know, sometimes the requests are met, sometimes they're not met. But when it's met, it is instant. It's not like some today, some tomorrow, and some the next day. It is instant. And there can be unfoldment in our linear time. But it's to know that it's in this instant. When I say it's done, it's handled. It's done. It's handled, at least from my perspective. And you may get another prayer tonight when I sit down and do my prayers again because it came to my awareness. But if it doesn't come to my awareness, you don't get it because it's done. Okay? It's a knowingness. So people say, can I pray for people who don't ask for me? Because they really need some help. No. That's like a violation. Do you really want somebody to come give you a haircut when you don't think you need one? Though I have my haircutting person all over me this last few weeks, but you get that. It's like a surgeon saying, let me do surgery on you. Even though you don't want it, you don't think you need it, I really feel you could use this little adjustment to your face, Christian. You know? Yeah, it's the same thing with prayer. Unless somebody has asked you and given you permission, that is a violation to enter into their energy field, into their consciousness, into their sphere of essence. Not that you could without their permission. Nobody can enter into your energetic field, for lack of a better word, into your consciousness unless you give them permission. But what happens is a lot of times people are not paying attention. They're not doing their spiritual work, and people enter in. You know, you're sitting there. You know, last week we did this touch on the face. We're subjective. We pick up stuff. This is why we've got to do our spiritual work continuously. So when we speak, boom, there's that instantaneous healing. You know, for James Von Prague, what a night. 714 people in this building. It's fabulous. Kimberly, we thanked everybody. Great job with the VIP. It was over the top wonderful. Thank you. Edwin, I already acknowledged you lived here. It was incredible to pull that off. But several months back, I never shared this with all you guys. So here's a little inside scoop. But we found out that they were having their major softball tournament this weekend, and it was going to start on the morning at 9 o'clock, and they were going to use our parking lot and their parking lot, and we were not in a good place. And so what we did in that moment, your team of 40 individuals We just prayed right there in the spot, and we didn't tell God what to do. We just thanked life, not God outside. It was just an acknowledgement and appreciation that it's handled, and it is spirit, and it's good, and I never thought about it again. Though Kay did, Edwin did, everybody else did, but I was clean. It was done. I got a lot of people that do my worrying for me, so I'm really good with that. And so what happened is, like a month, just a few days, this week before, we found out that the tournament wasn't going to start at 9, but rather at 3. And it's like, wow, we don't have to defend our parking lot so hard. And, it's their parking lot. We're used to using their 150 spots, but we did get the LDS church down the street and got their 150 spots. So that's the answer to prayer, and it was beautiful. But then what happened is Edwin comes in yesterday and said, you know what? They haven't started the tournament yesterday. Our people are parking next door, they're parking here, and they're parking down the street. And what happened is the tournament didn't start until after we started, so we got their parking lot, our parking lot, and the extra one, and it was 0 issues. And how do those things happen? Oh, I don't know. Well, can't you tell me, Chris? No, I just like to notice. You bring awareness. That's how healing happens, is you bring awareness and just go, wow, this is kind of cool. But that's what happens. It is instant, and didn't know what it looked like 3 or 4 months ago, but there was this click that happens. When you bring a greater awareness and you're willing to go do the prayer, there's a shift that takes place, and it's boom. It's handled. It's done. It's happening. Something Walt Whitman said is that I never knew how great I was. And wow, and boy, is that good. No, and it is sure good. He said, I never knew how great I was, and it sure is good. Yeah? I never knew how great I was, and it sure is good. You know what? Let's say that together, because that's like good. I never knew how great I was, and it's sure good. Touch your heart and say that again now that we know it. I never knew how great I was, and it's sure good. And I actually said never knew how big I was, but great's better. Yeah, okay. But I never knew how great I was. I never knew how big I was, but it is good. It is good to know you are great. It is good to know that you are God. It is good to have a greater awareness of a situation that is sucking you into the human experience. I don't deny we have human experiences, but what I want you to do, as soon as it catches your awareness with the headlines of your life, that you move to your mountaintop to have a greater awareness of what is going on. Because if your world is filled with delusion, or even in the moment of enlightenment, you are still that luminous brilliance. That's who you are. It doesn't matter how delusional you may get about your life. It doesn't take it from you. And it doesn't matter if it's a moment of enlightenment. It doesn't make you that luminous brilliance, because that is who you are now. It can't be given to you. It can't be taken from you. It is who you are. And as I stand here looking out, I am seeing a light that is so bright. I am seeing a wonder and a love that makes me go as wow, as the parking lot being given to us by God or by healing, transforming, because you are an luminous brilliance of spirit made manifest, and you are here to become greatly aware of the gift that you are to humanity. So to drop your sense of self-loathing or unworthiness and recognize that, you know what, I don't have to go to battle against the weeds or the wars of this world. All I need to do is allow my heart to open up so I can look at any man or woman, see my brother and sister, and know that spirit is unfolding. And it's in that moment, it's not something that is going to happen, but instantly that wonderful vibration that is cast from my being attracts to it all, that just honors it and is that, and you will walk through this world as that radiant, illuminous brilliance of the divine for all to see. God bless you as you do that.
cry for mercy and you long for grace. Feel the love, feel the light. Won't you come in from the cold? 'Cause all are welcome here. Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home. 'Cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here. Can you hear the sound, the whisper in your soul that calls you back to where you belong? And all your searching's brought you to this place. You cry for mercy and you long for grace. Feel the love, feel the light. Won't you come in from the cold? 'Cause all are welcome here. Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home. 'Cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here. Behold the love, behold the light in your mind, in your heart, in your soul. In your mind, in your heart, in your soul. In your mind, in your heart, in your soul. And all your searching's brought you to this place. You cry for mercy and you long for grace. Feel the love, feel the light. Won't you come in from the cold? 'Cause all are welcome here. Feel the joy, feel the peace, and the comfort of home. 'Cause all are welcome here. Yes, all are welcome here. Here.
All Are Welcome Here, from the album Path of Light, was co-written by Peggy Lebo and Reverend Christian Sorensen. It's available at www.peggylebo.com.